Johnson. Lees.
Here.
Young.
Here.
Okay, I would entertain a motion to approve our agenda.
So moved. Support.
Motion and support. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. We have our consent agenda with 8 items on it.
Motion to approve is presented. Support.
Motion and support.
I'd like to talk about number 8 for just a little bit, if we could just,
Discussion on that.
yeah, there's a couple items I've got
Okay.
questions on.
Number 8 is the payment of claims as listed on the expense approval report.
Can we talk about that now?
Yes?
Oh, okay.
Yep.
So, on the expense report, there's a claim for like $2,229 for storage at the collision center.
Oh, that's for, that's the vehicle storage, and there's another fee associated with that out at Collision Center. That's covered by insurance. We'll get a check. We'll be reimbursed for that.
So there's a check coming for that?
Insurance covers that. Their insurance.
Because it would seem to me that we could have paid a $50 tow bill, towed it to the city streets, and
They wouldn't charge us normally. They can charge the other insurance carrier for those costs. And that's what they're doing, and we'll receive reimbursement for that.
I just want to make sure on that one. And there's a $2,500 tree service in there, and
$2,500.
$100 for a stump removal.
That's
Is that the tree that blew over?
that's the one that fell over here on Ballard.
Since it was down, we couldn't take care of that?
You only had 1/3 of it down. The rest of it was hanging over 2 other houses where we don't do it. It's too tall. It was too big a tree for our bucket truck.
Okay.
And the stumps were multiple stumps as he's been taking trees down, and we've been taking them down. We wait till we got several before we have them come in, so we don't have to.
So it wasn't just one?
No, that wasn't just one. I don't know. Was there 4 or 5 on that list? Something. Maybe even more than that. I don't remember. It was multiple.
He provides an excellent cost. He provides an excellent cost to the city. Does it at an excellent rate for us.
Okay. Well, the way it was wrote up, it sounded like it was a lot more than that. So I'm good with that then. Thank you.
Okay. I'll call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. We'll go to our council and staff reports. Greg?
A few things tonight, Your Honor. I got notified today from the Jason Hutchison with the foundation. They will be donating $3,000 to the canine program. We'll get that here in the next couple weeks. Posted on Facebook and it'll be in your update, but thought it was interesting, the bike ratings that came out, and our overall ratings in the U.S. Region and in Iowa. You'll get copies of those. There's also links on the Facebook page as well. But we made top 20 in the state of Iowa, which I thought was pretty interesting, ahead of some of the larger communities than us. But it was interesting information, and that'll be in your packet Friday. It's also on Facebook and currently posted. We've been out of the trail. We're going to be meeting with engineers tomorrow as well to kind of run through some of the questions and items we want to make sure are cleaned up and everybody's on the same page with. Senior housing project is moving forward well. There's, I guess, a minor issue with the curb cuts today that they're going to correct at their entrance. We're looking to do an open house for an individual that's apparently retiring still tomorrow, right?
Yep.
Anything else? Tentatively for the 18th.
The 18th from 3 to 6, and we're going to host it at the Broadway.
Touch a Truck is on the 24th of August. we'll have Public Works, Police, and Fire participate for the third year in a row as well. That's also the same day as the Humane Society's event, canine event at Pat Klein Park. They'll have a bunch of different activities, and Public Works will be filling up the basketball court with water for them as well, etc. So that event will be going on as well. I think that's all I have for now.
Okay, thank you. One last report, Mike?
Yep, last one. And Greg's wrong, I'm actually here 2 days yet, so,
I thought you said you were taking off Friday.
nah. Got things to show Chase yet. Greg covered some of the stuff I had. The pool, we're waiting for a quote. The boiler sprung a leak in the coil where it heats the water in the cast. I don't know if it's repairable or not. It's non-usable at the moment. They're going to take it apart, see if they can fix it. If not, it'll be a new boiler for the pool. So as soon as Chase gets those quotes to you, he'll forward that on and what the issue is and what it's going to take to fix the boiler. We don't need it anymore this year. It's plenty warm for this year, but we'll need it for next spring. Signs in the right-of-way. If anybody's missing signs, they can contact Mark Crooks up here. We've been collecting signs that's been in the right-of-way all over town, trying to clean up the right-of-way. Just remember to put them behind the sidewalk, out of the city right-of-way when you post your signs. That's all I got.
Okay, thank you. Police, fire?
Ready to know it?
Okay, thank you. Anything from finance?
I can tell you that they have totaled, the squad car. I'm still waiting to hear back, on what they're gonna do with it and how much they're gonna give us and stuff like that. So as soon as I know something, hopefully next week, I will pass along the information, but it is totaled.
Thank you. Kelly, anything on pool or anything like that?
I think it's going okay. They have had to reduce their hours from noon to 7 to 1 to 6 to help with some staffing issues that we're having. We've had a couple leave, and she's trying to get some more trained, but just trying to work with the staff that she has and keep things open as much as she possibly can. Sometimes that means rotating things being open, but I haven't heard, and anybody really has not contacted me to complain about any of the issues, but.
Okay. Thank you. Anything from from Mark Crooks's department?
Cases is moving forward rapidly as well. Look to see that get done here in the near future. You'll be getting some additional reports tomorrow for June building permits, number of smaller commercial and residential ones for June. You'll also be getting update for June nuisances as well. 49, 50, and some examples of what he's dealing with as well on there as well. So you'll have that in your Friday update as well. But it's been busy several months. Things continue to proceed. So Walmart project is underway or will be shortly. Their update as well. That'll be a large update, mainly interior. Some exterior work as well, but keeping busy, that's for sure.
Thank you. Council, start with you, Melanie.
Well, I'd hoped we'd start with Andy and the 4th of July, but I'll do a sub point for him. Got the parade coming up on the 4th of July. We have 27 entrants. Normally we get about 40, so I'm expecting several to roll in here between now and the 4th. And a few do usually just show up that day and become part of the parade, and we welcome that. Well, we prefer an entrant ahead of time. We always can manage with the last minute additions and changes. So look forward to seeing people at the parade at 4 o'clock on the 4th, start lining up, showing up at 3 o'clock. We'll be at the little white tent that I'm sure Chase/Mike will have set up for me, along with what Teresa needs it for her bike races. That's all I have, thank you.
We only have one chair, though. You guys will have to share.
We'll fight over it, we got that. Thank you.
You can't retire till I got 2 chairs, 2 tables. So we have the bikes delivered from Bickles. They're out there. The medals have been ordered. I'm not sure if they're here yet. Angela put 50 packets together, so we hope to see quite a few bikers. And we'll pray that the fire department brings the Gatorade and water that I have purchased and ice for me to go. And Mike will bring my bikes.
Mike
Chase.
won't be here.
He'll be helping. So, yeah, we're getting ready. I've got my volunteers, Melanie and Kathy and whoever else wants to volunteer. It's awesome. You'll be handing out
Yes.
medals,
Yes.
and Greg will be handing out medals, and then either Jesse or Nathan, whoever's available that day.
Okay, thank you. John?
Well, I do have a couple things. The other day I was up here and I got in on listening to Stacy talk to a customer that wasn't real happy about water, and I just want to say she did an excellent job of handling the situation, probably better than I would have. And I just think that she needs to be told that, so I'm just bringing that up. And another thing is, it's came to my attention that there's some sewage problem out at Sunset, the subdivision out here. And I know there's 3 houses that's gonna be going up for sale, and maybe a 4th one out there from what I've heard. And the septic tanks that's out there, of course, won't pass. 2 of the ones that I've heard is going to be going up for sale cannot put septic tanks back in without putting a double tanker in. And the double tank system is like twice as much as the normal system that has pipelines. And the normal pipeline ones will be about $20,000. So these other houses have to have like $40,000 worth of roughly cost. They've been in the city forever, and I think it's time that we look at that place out there and see if we can supply them with sewer before 3 or 4 of them puts in new septic tanks, and then we decide to put them in, or at least get them a look at that and a cost at that, and see where we go. So I've asked Greg to do something, get a meeting together with them in the next 30 days so that we could at least see what their opinions are. And because I know if I was an owner out there and I put $40,000 in a sewer and then we came through it 5 years from now and put something in, I wouldn't be a happy camper.
Well, I'm out there, John. And
Yeah.
so I know the experience of there. We had to put double tanks in when we put the new home in, and that's been about almost 30 years ago now.
It's
So,
expensive.
It is.
Very expensive.
And
So, since you live out there, I guess I can ask you, do you ever, every once in a while, smell raw sewage out there?
no, not raw. The only raw sewage would be the when you fertilize the farmland.
Okay.
But that's expensive.
Yeah, okay.
We discussed it. I mean, we can get some rough numbers from the engineers. We're happy to meet with the homeowners out there, but as you know, and I mentioned this morning, there's a process that we'll have to go through. You have to hire an engineer. You're talking several $100,000. SRF loan that would require us to adjust rates to make sure that we meet those loan requirements. So that you're talking next spring, probably at the very earliest that you could be out there, summer. But those are all things that we can put together pretty quickly, get some numbers from Snyder, have a meeting out there and kind of run through things, because if you're going to do it, you're going to want to require that everybody, not just those 4 individuals, hook up in order to pay for that, and not just the residents, the remainder of the residents as well. So you're going to want to require everybody to hook onto that per our ordinance. So I think it'll be a good opportunity. We're happy to go out there and have a discussion with residents and see what their interest level is, so we're happy to do that.
Or have them come here for a meeting.
We'll set up a meeting, yeah.
Set up a meeting.
Yeah, we'll set up a meeting, get some information together, so happy to do that.
And one more thing, did you ever find out any more about the rural franchise fees for the franchise fee for the rural areas? For the 41 homes?
I just need to draft it, get it started, and bring it back our direction. I think I told you a number in one of my updates, 42, somewhere around there, 41. And they've got the one agreement, which is the one I have, the draft one, which they already have in place with, was it Clinton, I believe? I believe it was Clinton. And so we'll get that drafted and put together.
Thank you.
Andy, I did save you for last because I figured there was a fair amount.
I'm not last, though. I've got a
Oh,
gentleman
well,
on
that's true, I'm sorry.
my left here.
That's right, I'm sorry.
A few 4th of July things. One, if you're looking to sign up for anything like the bags tournament, talent show, the parade, or the bike races, all those forms are online on our website. You can get to them through Facebook too. So you can also sign up for most of those things right there at the day of the event. But if you want to sign up early, those are on the website. I want to give a couple thank yous to some of our sponsors: F&M Bank right here across the street, Alliant Energy, Century 21, Golden Eagle, Dave Bazine Electric, and Pepsi are a few people I don't think I've had the chance to thank yet. And then this Friday, something new we're doing at the Broadway, we're going to pre-sell the frogs for the frog race. So at 7 o'clock is when you can register to buy the frogs, and at 7:30 we're going to sell them. They're going to have frog leg specials, and Green Frog Distillery is going to be there that night giving samples. So if you want to come up to that, we'd love to have you, and that way we're not selling the frogs and spending a bunch of time on the 4th. So we'll do that early. But otherwise, thank you all for your help. Thank you, staff, for your help getting it ready. I can't believe it's only 8 days away. Praying for good weather. Thank you.
Certainly. We'll bring them last but not least, okay?
Don't worry about it. I just want to thank Angie and all the supervisors for getting this information together for us, preparing it for us. And then I also want to say Officer Brewery, she really helped out here, and unfortunately for us, it works out. She's going on to a better situation for her family. She's still a West Burlington resident, which is, but they saw her talent on our Facebook, I think, and Burlington did, and Officer, Sergeant Duncan saying that.
She has done a great job for us.
So I wish her best of luck. She's not here right now, but I think she's done a great job for us since she's been here.
And she's willing to continue to work with us. We've talked about a couple different routes that she can assist us.
Well, that's great. That is good news.
Yes.
Unfortunately, it's probably Burlington just tested, didn't they? And they did. What was the process for that? I just want everybody to be aware. Now, when we're trying to get a new officer, they just went through and only had one person.
One person that actually finished everything.
Yeah. And that's
14.
Out of 14 people.
Well, maybe we'll steal another Burlington officer.
So, anyhow, that's it.
Thank you. I was asked to present this information just in case. We have some free classes that are available through Mississippi Valley Skill, and it's our workforce development project here. I think there's like 6,000 or 7,000 classes that you can take. It includes IT certification, skilled trades, Microsoft Office suite, digital literacy, job readiness. So I think it's a really good thing for Southeast Iowa to have this available at no cost to us. So I mentioned that.
Is that something we can promote on our Facebook page or city web page?
I would think so. I'm going to have this posted there. I'll give it to Greg because we'd like to have it posted. And then we have a few cards that people can be given out. So I think, a good thing for our community and for our area. I'd also like to take the opportunity to express condolences to the city of Burlington for the vandalism that occurred in their park. I felt very bad about the whole situation, and it didn't, necessarily directly affect us, but I think it's something that's, I'm sorry for them that they had to go through that whole situation, so.
Pretty sad.
It is. And with that, then, I did leave a little packet for all of you with the slides that our next person will discuss. So you have a space if you want to write in some notes along those slides. But it's our second quarter report on the library. Mrs. Teeter, if you'd like to come up.
Second quarter, I believe you had a presentation in May from Library Director.
Brittany. Yeah.
Brittany. So, so it's not quite that, but there is so much going on that I wanted to present some information and not wait. We have an hour and a half filled with information, and so I hate to delay things too long. And besides, I might forget something. I obviously am not going to cover everything that we talked about. I do want to mention that the Burlington Public Library Board meetings have been moved to the third Wednesday of the month to accommodate the newest member of the board, Amanda Mansheim. And other people are welcome to attend. You don't have to be a liaison or a member of the board to be present there. So if anyone is interested in doing that. I picked out several topics that I thought were particularly important, and those I want to share with you tonight. One of those concerns virtual, well, it went there, it doesn't go here, that's okay. The virtual library, and if you are interested in what the library has available online, you can go to this website, and you will find different e-content providers that have e-books, audiobooks, movies, music, tutorials. There are newspapers, not only current newspapers like the New York Times and Wall Street Journal, but really old newspapers. If you want to go back and look at historical newspapers, you can find information from those. Obituaries, which is handy for people doing genealogy. There's investment information, recipes, and food information. Also sources of grant funding, veterans benefits, and much more. So if you're interested in any of that, just take a peek at that website. Among the popular providers of e-content through the Burlington Public Library are Hoopla and Libby. And the reason for that is libraries are trying to spend taxpayer money wisely, and so money is being moved toward providing more digital acquisitions and less to just the actual physical book collections. And a major factor is that 100% of digital selections are used because people pick those and then they use them. Whereas books that are purchased might be on the shelf and people, 2 or 3 people check them out, they're popular books, and then they sit on the shelves. And so it's not a good use of funding and a good use of space. So that's why there is the move to digital. As I mentioned, Hoopla and Libby are popular. Hoopla has lots and lots and lots of ebooks available, more so than Libby, plus a variety of other downloadable items, audiobooks, comics, movies, music videos, and TV shows. The recent data is on the slide there, and I don't need to read that because you have it and you can check it out for yourselves. But you can tell that it is pretty popular, that in the first 6 months of the year, over 4,000 downloads have been made. The other main source is Libby, which is owned by Overdrive, and it can be sometimes confusing because if you access Libby, sometimes it's called Bridges, but it is the same thing. The difference in that is Libby is provided through a group of libraries in Iowa, and they have bought into the system. They share the cost of it. But that means if you go online to borrow a book, there might be a line of people ahead of you from other patrons of other libraries who have that book, and so you have to wait for it. I have that situation with the book that I'm supposed to read for my book club in September. There are 2 copies of that particular book on Libby, and 36 people are waiting to get it, so I think I'm not going to have it read by September. But Libby is far less expensive, as you can see from the information on the slide, and that's because the cost is shared. I would encourage you to try Libby if you're interested. As I said, it is quite a bit less expensive for the library to do that. Okay. Some people still like to hold actual books in their hands to read, and so with that thought in mind, I asked about the bookmobile when I was at the meeting, and the bookmobile is coming. So that's exciting news. Originally, the library director had attempted to borrow a bookmobile from the Marshalltown Library. Marshalltown, like many of the towns in Iowa, is having some financial difficulties. And so Brittany had approached them about borrowing for a year to see how the bookmobile worked. But Marshalltown, because of their finances, said no, they couldn't do that. They were going to have to sell it outright. It's a used bookmobile, and they wanted $250,000 for it right now. So our library director and the library board are very concerned about using the financial resources carefully, and so they did some research, and the decision was made to purchase a new Ford Sprinter van at a cost of $70,000. And this is the same type of vehicle that the property maintenance department in Burlington uses. There is a conference that a member of the library staff will attend in October, and by attending that and finding out more information about bookmobiles and how to set them up and so forth, there will also be a discount on the cost of that, which is good to me. There will be additional costs, of course, to fit the van so that it will work as a bookmobile. So the interior of it will be changed, and also some exterior, signage and so forth, so that we can tell it's a bookmobile. It is supposed to be purchased this fall after the October conference, and it will be in use all year round. And so we'll probably have a schedule, and I'm excited about it, and I hope you are too. 4th of July celebration. In the past 2 years, Burlington Public Library has had a presence at our 4th of July event. And I think, Andy, you set that up, so there is a table for Burlington Public Library.
Bring your own table, but yeah, there's a location.
There's a location. I had to provide our own table. Okay, I will let the library director know. I'm not certain with, many of the staff members are not going to be available because they want to be with family over the 4th of July. And so you might be stuck with me sitting at the table handing things out. I was asked, and I said I would be glad to do that. If you have been to the library recently, you might have seen something that looks like this under construction. To better assist library patrons, the circulation desk, which, as you know, if you've been to the library, is at the far back wall, is being moved to the front. And there will also be a computer to access the catalog, and I think a copy machine. So all of this is to make things more convenient for library patrons. So when you go in, if you have a question, you want to know where to find something, the desk is right there, and you can ask the person at the desk where to find whatever it is you need. So, very handy. And finally, I just wanted to mention how easy it is to get a library card. When I talked to you, or when I gave my report in April, the data at that time showed that there were 2,267 West Burlington residents who had library cards, which is a phenomenal percentage of our West Burlington citizens. That being said, the library director has been going through the cards, and some of them are not being actively used. And so if we look at the ones that are actively used, somebody's checking out something on them all the time, that's 1,527. Now, those other people still have cards, but at some point, inactive borrowers' cards will be deleted from the system. So if you have a card, please use it. And if you don't have one, please get one to support our library. So that is my presentation. There are so many things going on at the library, so I encourage you to make use of that wonderful resource we have while we have it, and to work to advocate for our library. We can't do anything with the Burlington City Council, although there's work being done to make certain, or to try to get funding for the library. So we don't have to, cut, or the library doesn't have to cut hours and staff or close down altogether, as some libraries in Iowa have had to do. So if you want to keep this wonderful facility, this wonderful place we have, don't be afraid to speak to your state legislators about it.
I've got a question for you, ma'am.
Yes.
Do you have a display coming in reference to the Holocaust in a couple of years?
I'm sorry.
You have a display coming up in a few years in reference to the Holocaust. Is that at the public library? Something you're arranging that's going to...
I believe there is something about the Holocaust coming up.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's what I thought.
I don't have my notes on that, but I believe that is correct. And you do know that there is an Anne Frank Museum in Danville.
Yes.
So, and my understanding is that the rail car there is opened now. So it would be, I'm going with a group in a couple of weeks, and so it would be a good thing to visit if you haven't had a chance to. Unless you have a chance to go to the Netherlands and visit that, which is interesting too. So, are there any other questions, comments, anything you want me to ask?
Becky, just thanks for your work with the library board and for volunteering to be up here on the 4th of July and just keep promoting the library. And we do have a gym in our library here in town. Just the programming that's offered for all ages is pretty incredible. And I, like you, believe we need to advocate for the ongoing support of it by speaking it up when we talk to anybody who's a decision maker. Because that House File 718 didn't do the libraries any favors. And we don't want to lose the gem we have. So thank you.
I think we're going to have one of the representatives here July. Thank you.
Matt Reed.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Good question for him.
Yeah. City manager and I have mentioned about the library being one of the concerns to Matt not too long ago.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch all of that.
We talked to Matt Ranker not too long ago, and it was one of our priorities to see if we can't get funding for libraries across the state.
That would be wonderful. Thank you. I will pass that information along to the library director and to the advocacy committee from the board.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, thank you, Becky.
Thank you.
Do we have any citizens' inquiries about information on the agenda? Seeing none, we have no old business. I'll go on to the first item of new business. Consider a resolution adding Matthew Heckert to the fire department.
Motion to approve.
Support.
Motion and support. Any discussion?
Does he live here in town? I see that he's employed with Lee County, but does he live here in town? Hate to see him make a call from Lee
I
County
don't
up
think he
here.
lives in Fort Madison, I think he lives locally.
Was a Burlington fireman, right?
No, for sure.
Oh.
Not sure.
I thought he was at one
They
point.
have regulations, they have to live within a certain distance.
Yeah.
Well, I don't,
He brought his passport up to that day I was here, and so we should have an address. Do we agree?
Well, his application would include his information, and all the required information and his address, yes.
it just says he's currently employed at Lee County Ambulance Service, so I just,
Well, he probably knows one of the other, we have another firefighter that lives locally and he's employed by the county ambulance service,
so he lives somewhere close to us.
All in favor, this is a resolution. Roll call, please.
Crowner,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Lees,
Aye.
Young,
Aye.
Covert.
Aye.
Motion carries, thank you. We're considering the final reading of an ordinance amending the city code to include a new zoning district entitled R6 Recreational Vehicle Park District, and establishing regulations for said district.
So moved.
Support.
Motion and support. Thank you. We've had enough discussion on this. I'm assuming there would be no more.
Brief discussion.
All right.
Thank you. As I mentioned earlier about, when we were talking about changes, on page 2 and page 3 in red, we have two suggested minor changes. The contractor stopped in for the project. We had some discussions, a couple issues that we wanted to clarify came up. We wanted to clarify setback requirements, which is on page 2, and we just wanted to call out NFPA 1194, which specifically deals with these types of parks. So really just a clarification on setbacks and section 15 on page 3, NFPA 1194. It simply deals specifically with those types of parks. So nothing major at this time, just wanted to add some clarification.
And also, Greg, on page 3, number 8, it says RVs shall not be less than 50 amps. 90% of your campers are 35 amps.
It was at 100 before.
It was 100.
It was 100 before, it was changed to 50. It was the discussion with the, when Mr. Reifert was here.
Everybody will have to have an adapter that has a camper like I did that was 40 foot long, you know, because
Right.
unless you have
think that
a
was the
big
recommendation.
camper that has 2 air conditioners and big slides and stuff.
That was the owner's, recommendation, that going from the 100 down to the 50.
Well, I'm just telling you that
Right.
most campers are 35 amps.
30 amps. They're most of them are 30 amps. And most pedestals have a 30 amp and a 50
And a
amp.
50.
one
And a
amp.
50.
And I forget, Johnny, I checked into this about 3 weeks ago, and all I can say is I was satisfied with what I learned as the answer, and so I was good with it. But I don't remember who I talked to and because I dug into, a couple people on the committee.
I mean, you can get an adapter.
Yeah,
Everybody
you
would
bet.
have to buy an adapter to go down to their.
And they'll
normal
sell them
line.
at the that station.
But I would think that we could allow 30 amps and 50s.
Well, it might, it's just said, it says the proposed.
Not
park
less
will
than.
initially accommodate up to 45 RVs with 50 amp electrical service.
Doesn't mean they can't have a 30 or
Yeah, they can go
one.
lower,
They
they
have to
just-
at least have one 50 on there. They can have a second, they can have a 30,
Well,
absolutely.
they're only going to supply up to 50,
Right.
so.
No, it says not less than 50. It doesn't say you can do 35.
Right, but that doesn't mean you can't have more.
You'd have a 50 and a 35.
Doesn't say that. No, it don't.
You don't
It says
have-
not less than 50.
You don't have, doesn't
So you
have
gotta
to
have
say
a
that.
50.
Oh,
Gotta have a 50.
but you can't have nothing less than that, it says.
This is just saying that the
No.
RV park itself,
Minimum.
That's what it says.
Right.
Not
Johnny,
less.
this is just saying that the RV park cannot supply something less than 50.
Yeah, it's not for the individuals, it's the
Not,
park
doesn't say the
can't
individual
serve.
has to have 50, it just says the park can't
Provide
only
less,
have, can't only have
Only.
35. It has to have at least
At
50.
least 50. They can
So
also
can we
have
word that
35.
They could have a 35 and a 50?
It's
Because
a,
that's what most campers are gonna use.
This is the part, what we're regulating the park to have, not what we're regulating the campers that come to
I
the park to
understand.
have.
but the park can also have a 30 amp, 35 amp, excuse me.
So can we clear that up and say that?
I think it's clear, but
Number
They can,
8?
they can have 3 different services at each one. They can have 4 different services at each one, as long as one of them is a 50 amp. That's all they have to do.
Doesn't say that. Can we clarify that?
It does. I don't think you want to spell something out
Each
less
space will be
than that.
served Oh, but what we're saying here, though, is that each of those spaces has to have a 50 amp, and they could also have others in that space, but
There's no
they-
limitation
There's no limitation.
on anything else, on
Yeah.
having.
So that if you pull into a space, there is a 50 for you if you need it. But the park will probably provide, and it's up to the park to do that, something less in addition to that 50.
Okay, so I'm not reading this right. It says, word for word, space shall not be served by less than 50 amps, period.
Right.
So they can't have
Space
just a
itself.
35 or 30.
the space will have at least 50 amps when you get there.
But it can also have, he can add 35, he can add
25?
whatever he wants to add on there. It's just, he has to have at least 150 amp.
And that's the park owner has to do that.
It doesn't say at least, it says not less than.
That's at least, I mean, that's the, it initially said 100 and he wasn't.
That's not right.
He didn't need to.
His recommendation was 50,
Yeah.
right?
Common sense.
This covers
If he's
35.
gonna be in a business, he's gonna have a 30 amp on there.
Yeah.
I don't
would
think we need
say-
to tell him how to run his business.
So I would want it to be allowed.
It is allowed.
Yeah, it's allowed.
It's allowed.
It is.
Well, I read that as it's allowed. You
Yeah.
can have 250 amps on there, 230 amps, and 2 110s, and life is good.
Yep.
But he has to have, at a minimum, not less than a 50 amp electrical service, or she.
What it says.
What would you, how would you word it to say what you think it should say?
You could have 50 and less.
That's what you'd say. You'd say each RV space shall be serviced by not
With a
less.
50 and you can have,
Or,
or
Or-
30s, or
well,
20s.
But if
know,
you say "or," then you're saying it
and.
can
No,
only,
and.
Then you're requiring more
I'm
than
gonna tell you,
one.
every time you go to a campground and you have to pull out a different adapter, because most campers are 30 amp.
30 amp. They're
Most
30.
of them are.
They can have a 30 amp, but each one has to at least have the 50, not less than a 50.
We're not saying you have to bring an adapter, we're not, that's not our requirement. If he wants to add a 30 on there, he's more than welcome to add a 30 on there, as long as he has a 50 as well.
So
You
then
can
what
have
was the
230s.
difference of at least 100, then he could bring 50, 20s, and 30s.
He didn't want to do.
Then we gotta have 100.
100, who plugs into 100?
Nobody.
Nobody. Yeah, 50 is what, the biggest, and then,
Right. And then you can have less than that as well. But as long as you have 150, you can have anything less than that as well, in addition to that.
okay, I have a motion and a second. Call for a vote, please.
Johnson,
Aye.
Lees,
Aye.
Young,
aye.
Covert,
Aye.
Crowner.
Aye.
Motion carries. Number 3, consider final reading of an ordinance amending the official zoning map to establish the boundary lines for a new R6 residential vehicle park district.
Motion to approve.
Support.
Motion and support. Discussion? If not, call for a vote.
Lees,
Aye.
Young,
Aye.
Covert,
Aye.
Crowner,
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Motion carries. Consider amendments to the Beaverdale, Westwood Hills, and Woodsman subdivision water contract agreement.
Motion approved.
Support.
Motion and support. Discussion on this?
Two items came up with representatives from Beaverdale. That was on the 150% requirement. They were requesting 130%. The language includes 150%. That is the most common percentage for charges outside of the city limits. That's what we're charged by Burlington. I did actually get an email today from another community that charges 200%. As an alternate, I don't think I would leave in 130% for the term of the contract. If you wanted to ramp it up over a 3-year period, that would be one suggestion. My recommendation is still 150%, which is the average what communities charge and what we're charged by Burlington. So we're simply covering our cost. The other item was the under Section 14. I wouldn't delete Section 14, but I think it's fine to include the language I have in quotes there. After an agreed upon scope of work is approved by the seller with consideration given. I mean, it doesn't cost us anything by adding that language, but deleting the other portions of Section 14, I did have concerns with. It's really our standard that they need to meet. It's not a negotiation, frankly. It's our standard that they have to meet.
I had just a quick note. No matter how we do this on 14, the very last part of that where it references paragraph 7, I believe that is an incorrect reference, and it should actually be paragraph 8.
Say that again, Andy.
The very end of item 14 references the date of the contract and references paragraph 7, and I believe it should be paragraph 8.
Correct.
We'll make that correction.
Yes.
Okay.
And then, could we clarify the motion? Was the motion with 130%, 150%, the stair step?
The motion as would include the 150% in the agreement. The question is if you're willing to do a friendly amendment or a motion to amend to include the additional language to Section 14.
Remind me what they're at right now, just 100%, or that they're 120?
They pay the same as our residents, 100%.
Okay.
I'll stipulate 150 so that it's clear.
Thank you.
Okay.
Any objection to adding Section 14?
No.
No, I have no objection.
So,
Okay.
friendly amendment, is that?
Yep.
Okay.
Amend it again.
Okay, with that in mind, then I'll call for a vote.
Your Honor, can we just discuss, is anybody in favor of the stair step going from 130 to 140 to 150 over a 3-year period? Okay, I wasn't necessarily against that.
That's just a suggestion that I had. Theirs was the 130 over the term of the contract, which I was not my recommendation.
I think we need to get it to 150, but I was kind of okay with stair stepping it, or even doing 130 now and 150 the next year and skipping that middle one. I could be talked into either one of those, but if I'm the only one, that's fine.
So Greg, when we ship water out there, we go to a meter, and then that main meter is what we gauge off of?
The rates are based off their individual meters.
Right. And then we would collect any difference between the meters that they have on site and the main meter. We collect that difference now as well.
That's the leakage,
They have breaks
essentially, right?
with those breaks that are out there, so we quantify the difference between the main meter and the individual meters, and so we collect basically what goes through that initial meter.
And that's our pipe to that meter?
Ours is to the meter, yep.
Aren't they looking at redoing their plumbing out there.
Yes, so they've contracted with Klinger and Associates, and they're working on it at present. They had a couple questions. Asked Austin with GIS to send them some information, which they did today. They're going to probably do some additional, they need to do some flow testing out there as well. They'll coordinate with Public Works. We don't do that for private third parties, they'll contract, but we'll be out there on site. So they're in the process of doing that. I've been working with Wayne during this. He kind of seems to have taken over the process for the subdivision.
Okay, I'll call for a vote.
Covert,
Aye.
Crowner,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Lees,
Aye.
Young.
Aye.
Motion carries. We'll go to number 5. Excuse me. Considering a resolution closing certain streets for the 4th of July celebration.
Motion to approve.
Support.
Motion and support. Any discussion necessary?
Well, no.
Why do we have to do that? I mean, why can't we
It's just formally making them not a city drivable street.
For that time.
Safety reasons.
I might see you in that street and like,
So is that
You're just closing it to traffic.
They do that for all events, or somebody wants to have a neighborhood party and wants to close the street, they bring that event form to the council for action as well, or to the city for action as well. When you're closing a street for an event, you just want to make sure that, one, the public's aware of it, and for example, with a neighborhood event, if you're closing the street, you want to make sure that they've talked to all the residents, for example. In this case, it's it's an event. You need to go through that formal process of closing the streets and defining where you're going to have the event.
Well, the reason I was asking is, if we're redoing a street and it's gonna be closed for a month while we're redoing it, do we need to close those streets too?
No, they're usually closed with traffic, like a construction closure.
Different type of closure. And if it's the contract, if the contractor's doing the work, technically during that time frame under that contract, it's actually under their control. It's actually their street. It's under their control at the time when they're doing that work, and not ours during that time frame.
I'm just curious.
Yep.
Okay. All in favor signify by saying aye.
This is
Aye.
this is a resolution.
Oh, this is a resolution, sorry. Roll call.
I didn't get a motion or second on this one. But I can-
Andy motioned it.
There's motion second.
and Ringo's. Okay, sorry. Crowner,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Lees,
aye.
Young,
Aye.
Covert.
Aye.
Motion carries. We go to number 6. We're considering a resolution authorizing the end-of-year transfers for fiscal year 2023, 2024.
So move.
Support.
Motion and support. Any discussion necessary on this one? I mean, we do the transfers every year at this
Happy to
time.
do answer any questions, Angie or myself. This is just the transfers that we budget for. It's done at the end of the year, prior to the end of the fiscal year. Capital outlay transfers from one fund to another, local option, to road use. But no, it's just a formal process to transfer the funds.
Roll call?
Johnson,
Aye.
Lees,
Aye.
Young,
Aye.
Covert,
Aye.
Crowner.
Aye.
Motion carries. Number 7, we have a 3-year right-of-way permit for Lisco.
Motion to approve.
Support.
Motion and support. Discussion on this? Seeing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed, motion carries. Number 8, we're considering hiring service master to provide janitorial services for City Hall and the Public Works Department.
Motion approved.
Motion approved.
Support.
Motion and support. Any discussion?
They've gone up, huh? Anything you want to add, Angie, other than what you wrote?
I sent out 3 RFPs and post it on the internet, on the website. I got one person that contacted me that seen it on the website, and then that was the responses from everybody else. We were treated pretty good by Wendy, and so.
I noticed the requirement is that they're bidded to do it 1 day a week to do most of the work.
Yeah, they're gonna just do 1 day a week like what we've had in the past.
That's what we've been and they do that during the business day or in the evenings? Or?
I requested they come on the weekends and do it.
Okay, so Saturday or Sundays.
Yeah.
Which is what has been done.
Okay, and I know we require them to have insurance. Does that, some of the maybe more sensitive stuff we have at the city hall?
I have required them to do background, so they're gonna do background checks and everything.
Anybody that works at City Hall has to have a background check.
Okay, thanks for clarifying that.
Porter Clean's done it for what, 5 years?
Well, they've been doing, Public Works they've been doing a long time. I think I looked back and I think they've been doing City Hall since 2019.
I know when I was here as an officer, they did an excellent job. Appreciate it.
Appreciate the prior service. They did a great job for us.
So can we hire somebody like 1 day a week to do this and it'd be cheaper? I mean, we're talking $400.
Well, we put out bids, and those are the best prices. They came back. Anybody could have done something.
Hire a personnel.
Right.
You can't hire anybody to do it.
I think Mike can probably speak to it better than I can.
City
They're having trouble
city
hiring.
janitor, you're saying?
Right.
If it's $1,200 a month, and we could hire a part-time person to come in for 2 hours a night or 3 hours at night to do
You're still
that.
gonna have to, I mean, these guys are supplying all the cleaning supplies and all that other stuff where, I mean, we'd have to supply all that.
And you have to find an individual that does it. These folks are hiring these folks. They're having trouble hiring and finding folks to employ as well. Frankly, I just don't think it's something we want to get into.
But they also run the pool. Oh.
They do.
Okay, we'll call for a vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Our last is a resolution amending positions and setting wages for swimming pool managers.
Motion to approve.
Support. Motion and support. Discussion?
Sounds like it's been going well. Kelly can jump in here, but Audrey's been stepping up, taking on more of the work as well. They're splitting the hours. Kelly's still there as lead, somebody that she can rely on, and Bethany has stepped up as well. Things seem to be going well from your perspective, and we're still way under budget from where we were last fiscal year from a staffing perspective. That said, we still could use lifeguards, and encourage folks to apply. I think we've had a couple applications in the past couple weeks here.
Yeah, just a couple have come in.
So
Audrey is also this would be a 5th year lifeguard, and she was able to teach swimming lessons when
right.
the person we had prior that was gonna be in charge of teaching swimming lessons quit on Friday, and lessons were starting on Monday. So they stepped right in, took over, and did a great job, got all the lessons in, and
handling the public well, handling the employees well.
yeah.
Seems to be going very well. Checks in with Kelly when
and
necessary.
she can guard too when she needs to.
My understanding is that the rules are being obeyed and followed now on this swimming pool.
Yeah,
And
there's-
it's appreciated
I think,
by a lot of people.
Part of the problem is they have some different expectations with staff this year, which is appropriate, and that's kind of led to some,
Rules are being enforced.
yeah.
So is somebody doing less now? Is
Kelly is probably doing less hours. She also has the prior commitment that we were aware of as well. Audrey is stepping in, doing more of the operations. Hopefully, she'll continue to do that in the years to come, as she, over the summer. We'd love to get somebody in that position, perhaps her and her sister as well, to continue to be in those positions and groom them to be that. That's that's ideal, and it works extremely well when you have a long-term lifeguard that can go up through the ranks and ultimately take that on. So hopefully, that's what we see, fingers crossed.
So will we see less money going to Kelly if we?
Yeah, she's been working
Yeah.
less hours, and Audrey's been
Her
picking up
goal was
those
to
hours.
was not be there full-time. And in the
Right.
past, we've had a manager there that was at least full-time during the summer. And she just does not have that kind of commitment, but she's able to get things started. She's,
She's committed, doesn't have that amount of time.
yeah, yeah. We knew that.
With her full-time job.
You must kind of know how many hours she's not going to be there. Have you done any kind of a figure, if we give this other money and we back out her money, what more, or what's the cost going to be?
I think they're honestly
Splitting their time,
splitting their time, yeah.
essentially right now.
Yeah.
So,
Kelly, maybe
I
a
think
better
it'll be-
comparison for Johnny is the data you shared for labor paid last year, year-to-date versus this year, year-to-date.
we can get that.
For June, we were open last year on Memorial Day weekend, starting Memorial Day weekend and moving forward. And I think by the end of this time, we'd spent $10,000 in wages and last year, and this year we're at like $2,000 in wages. Just because of the way she's staffing it, and she's not spending 40 hours a week there.
I just want to say once, I'm not very happy with this hours change, and I really don't even really like the old hours. I feel like we need to be more at 11 a.m. open or 10:30 a.m. open, but I do understand the staffing issues. But if we're going to have this very nice pool and this great facility for our town and spend all this money on it, we need to find a way to get staff in there and get it done. And I don't know what that's going to take, but
Other pools are closing, would you say, there was an adjacent community that dropped from, was 1 to 5
Yeah.
PM now?
They're 1 to 5,
Having the
they
same-
closed on Sundays.
and you
completely.
really can't now, as a working parent, take your kids to the pool after work. And if you do, you're paying a fortune for an hour. So it's,
That's what I said, maybe that we can talk about that, maybe like there's 2 days a week, you have an evening hour. My daughter ran into the same thing, she wanted to
yeah.
pick him up from daycare and take him to the pool, and there was like, an hour.
Yeah, we'd always take the kids and the nephews, and by the time Amy, my sister, and I get off work,
Right.
we just can't go. It's too late.
I can talk to her.
And I like
maybe
the
at
evening
least a
hours
couple days-
too, just-
A couple days a week, they could do that.
Yeah, I like the evening hours too, just go jump
Start with
in
one
and
day a
do
week
different
or
things, yeah. But
You
see,
understand the
people can
problem,
do-
there's just gotta be a way
it's
around
not ideal
that
at all.
somehow.
No, it's just, we need employees.
This is when we don't, also the ones that we don't want to burn them out right now.
Yeah.
Because some, probably at least 3 of them I know have other jobs on top of this. So,
I mean, I don't know if it's conversations with them that they don't get enough hours there because of our overall staffing issues, so that even compounds itself, where they feel like they have to go get another job.
no, I think they came
Or-
in with other jobs, because there's a lot of kids that are working year-round, like during the school year.
Right. Or some people that would, but again, they need a certain amount of guaranteed hours, and we're gonna be closed on rainy days, and then on the days we're open, we're only open a couple hours, and so there's some issue in there on top of, because everybody else has staffing issues too, but they're all figuring it out, and we're cutting hours.
I think-
I'm not talking public pools, I'm talking Target and Walmart and everybody else here in town has the same
If
issue.
it was just hiring kids, that'd be fine, but we're hiring, trying to hire ones that are certified
Yeah.
to lifeguard, and we have some that absolutely, that work there now as concessions that we'd like to see transition. They're like,
Yeah.
absolutely, I don't want that responsibility. I
Well-
mean, we pay for their certification. Sometimes it is an issue of them paying that money up front
Yeah.
because it's expensive.
I
It's a timing of
I
trying
don't
to
know
get
the
classes
answer
in.
exactly, and I trust you all to do it. That's why you're here and you're very good at these things. I trust that. But it's time to maybe, what do we got to do? Put like a bounty on, get me a new employee, we pay you $100, or like all the things that
I'd
you
pay
see
you $100
manufacturing
if I
plants
could get a new-
do, and, I mean, that's a very nice facility and it should be open.
That's part of the
Absolutely.
problem also, like Dankworth's pool, it's a square pool. They can run it.
Yeah,
with
with
4
less guards. Yeah.
We have everything that we have. Each slide takes 2 guards.
Yeah.
The
One up, one
diving
down.
boards takes 1 guard. It's the type of facility we've
You know,
built.
maybe there's something there to talk with Brad about. Is there a way that we can switch that to 1 guard by having the one upstairs with a camera on the downspout so we can see it?
State code.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a state code. Because
yeah.
we have to measure them.
There's got to be a way we can put 10 ideas together and fix some of it.
Well, then I think Sunday they had to close early because there was some floaters.
That was Saturday, I think, yeah.
Anyway, said my piece. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
I
Yes.
did get
You're not wrong,
the state
by the
used to
way.
say that
I
the
know.
You're not
captain had
alone.
to be 16 years old.
Right.
On top of just being a 15-year-old lifeguard. And we did get them to adjust that requirement to allow them to be 15, which helped with some of the staffing problems we were having.
They can
but
start at 14,
They have to be 15 to,
15? Okay.
Well, then I'll call for a vote.
this is a resolution, so do a roll call. Johnson?
Aye.
Lees?
Aye.
Young?
Aye.
Covert?
Aye.
Crowner?
Aye.
Motion carries. If there are no citizen inquiries,
Your Honor, I
yes,
have a couple more things
okay.
that I wanted to say. First was, thanks for the opportunity of working here for 28 years. It's been hard some days, not others, different every day, not boring. I like the opportunity that moved into this position when I did and working with everybody up here and the help from Angie with the papers and budget I get, and Kelly gets annoyed and many times I go to her office and I lean on Katie, and Katie's always been great to help me with stuff, and the police department too, the old guys here that aren't on the force anymore, we've worked with for many years and a good relationship, and the guys that are on there now, they're always there to help us when we need it. I appreciate all of that. Mainly I just want to say my job description was to look everything over, make a budget, coordinate things, and the way it should be, and try and run everything. But I don't want all the credit to me, because that would have never happened if it wouldn't be for my guys out there in Public Works. It all falls back on them. I can't do my job if I don't have good guys under me, and there's a great group of guys out there, and I just want to say thanks to them for all the years of working with them and helping me when I was here, because they go do what they're asked to do, and they pick up and do other things, and it never would have worked without all of them. So every time you guys thank me, you need to thank them too, because it wouldn't work without them. I gotta have the backing from them to do what needs to be done and the responsibilities around this town, and we have a good group, and just want to say thanks to them too, and you're going to be in good hands with Chase. Give him some time and help him out. If everybody helps him like to help me, you guys will all be fine.
Thank you, Mike.
Yep,
Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Mike.
appreciate it.
Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Support.
Motion and support. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.